Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Pranamahamsa Paravajakacharya Ashtotartha Sri Srimad's Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravajakacharya Ashtotartha Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On the second day of June, 2025 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in Chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge, text number 13 on page 200. Chaturvanyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apimam vidyakartaram avyayam. Chaturvanyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apimam vidyakartaram avyayam. Chaturvanyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apimam vidyakartaram avyayam. Go ahead. Chaturvanyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apimam vidyakartaram avyayam. Chaturvanyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apimam vidyakartaram avyayam. Not yet? Not yet. Not yet. Bhakta Chad, can you help?
Hare Krishna. Chaturvanyam maya srishtam
Chaturvanyam maya srishtam
gunakarma vibhagashaha
gunakarma vibhagashaha
tasya kartaram apimam
tasya kartaram apimam
vidyakartaram avyayam.
vidyakartaram avyayam. Okay, I'll read it word by words. Chatu Varnyam, the four divisions of human society. Maya, by me, Srishtam, created, guna, of quality, karma, and work, vibhagashaha, in terms of divisions. Tasya, of that, kartaram, the father, api, although, mam, me, vidhi, you may know, a kartaram, as the non-doer, abhivam, unchangeable. Welcome, Avek. We are on page 200. Hare Krishna. Okay, so Krishna is speaking, and he says to Arjuna, according to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. Purport. The Lord is the creator of everything. Everything is both of Him, everything is sustained by Him, and everything after annihilation rests in Him. He is therefore the creator of the four divisions of the social order, beginning with the intelligent class of men, technically called Brahmanas, due to their being situated in the mode of goodness. Next is the administrative class, technically called the Kshatriyas, due to their being situated in the mode of passion. The mercantile men, called the Vaishyas, are situated in the mixed modes of passion and ignorance, and the Shudras, or laborer class, are situated in the ignorant mode of material nature. In spite of His creating the four divisions of human society, Lord Krishna does not belong to any of these divisions, because He is not one of the conditioned souls, a section of whom forms human society. Human society is similar to any other animal society, but to elevate men from the animal status, the above-mentioned divisions are created by the Lord for the systematic development of Krishna consciousness. The tendency of a particular man toward work is determined by the modes of material nature which he has acquired. Such symptoms of life, according to the different modes of material nature, are described in the 18th chapter of this book. A person in Krishna consciousness, however, is above even the Brahmins. Although Brahmins by quality are supposed to know about Brahman, the supreme absolute truth, most of them approach only the impersonal Brahman manifestation of Lord Krishna. But a man who transcends the limited knowledge of a Brahmana and reaches the knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, becomes a person in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, a Vaishnav. Krishna consciousness includes knowledge of all different plenary expansions of Krishna, namely Rama, Nrsimha, Varaha, etc. And as Krishna is transcendental to this system of the four divisions of human society, a person in Krishna consciousness is also transcendental to all divisions of human society, whether we consider the divisions of community, nation, or species. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. Before I forget, one note on the pronunciation of when we sing the song, Jaya Radha Madhava. The last line is Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Now, we're used to saying the name of the river is Yamuna. But this, because it's of the Yamuna, mainly the bank of the Yamuna, more precisely the forest on the bank of the Yamuna where Krishna is enjoying, Yamuna Tira Vana Chari, is Yamuna, of the Yamuna. Yamuna Tira, believe it or not. Look it up in the songbook. Just like you find Vasudev and Vasudev, because he's of Vasudev. Or the Dhritarashtra, and the sons are Dhartarashtrans, believe it or not. So that's just a way the Sanskrit works, so try to remember that next time you sing. Not a big thing, but it's good to get the pronunciation right. Okay, so Krishna here talks about the Varnashram system, Chatur Varnyas, specifically about the Varnas. There's the Varnas and then the Ashrams. The Varnas are the divisions, social divisions for a smooth working of society. Now, it's very clear that the perfection of this Varnashram system, that's become in the second chapter, first canto, it is said, I forget the Sanskrit, but the perfection of the Varnashram system is to please Lord Hari, Haritoshanam. And otherwise, it becomes simply a way of the higher Varnas overruling, overlording it, the lower Varnas. The Brahmins can easily become puffed up just by being born in a Brahmin family. It's very clear as a guna karma vibhagasha, that is according to quality and work and what you do, that you prove what Varna you're in. You may be born in a family, a Brahmin to a Brahmin family, Brahmin father, Brahmin mother, actually, but you don't have the qualities, or you don't develop them. You get in bad association, and you're acting like a dacoit. Even you're out of the Varna Ashram system entirely, But I'm a Brahmin family, I can lord it over the other, So it's easy for it to be corrupt, like everything in this Kali Yuga. But when Varnashram is centered on pleasing Krishna, then it becomes very wholesome. And the proof is that the Shudras can also be very happy doing their menial work. Visualize someone, in a Gitanagari farm, he's plowing the field, and as he's plowing the field, he's chanting Hare Krishna. It's no different than the Brahmin who's in the temple chanting Hare Krishna. So that's a central facet of Lord Chaitanya's movement. It is open to everyone. Anyone is eligible to become transcendental, even to the whole Varnashram system, beyond the Brahmins, designation. And Lord Chaitanya proved it by his spreading of the Krishna consciousness to everybody, who would come and chant and dance and get the mercy. But Prabhupada was sometimes saying it's impossible to reinstitute Varnashram system at present time. But at other times he says one of my main missions, unfulfilled, is establishing a Varnashram, in his society. And he authorized and was very eager to have these farm communities, because in farm communities, that's where you can have the cows, and the Vaishyas can really be doing that rather than just business, which can be very degrading, But the main, as defined in the Bhagavad Gita, is protect Go Raksha. Go Raksha was protection of cows, not cattle raising. Go Raksha, that was in the earlier editions of the book. Prabhupada. That's one of the corrections he personally insisted on being made. There's a few of those. So the key phrase, guna karma vibhagashah, according to actual quality and karma. Now, guna means quality. It also means mode. And really, I'm not kind of on a mission. When the word is being used as guna, Prabhupada sometimes he says the qualities, the three qualities of material nature. Material nature only has three qualities? How is that? It's like all these millions of qualities. So I've been changing the books and changing those qualities to modes when they're supposed to be modes. Because the modes it's not really a quality so much. It's like a musical mode, It's a kind of everything. If you're in the mode of ignorance, and everything you do will be in the mode of ignorance. You eat things in the mode of, you listen to music in the mode of ignorance, right? It's more than just a quality. It's a way. It's in the mind. It affects the mind, and part of our task, part of our process, is doing those things which increase the mode of goodness. Because in the mode of goodness, knowledge expands, and you can actually understand Krishna. And so, like an ashram, in the ashram, it's very clean, very regulated, And of course, it takes a while, if you're living, because outside you're going to be exposed to the other lower modes, So the modes, understanding how the modes work is very important, and that will come up in detail in the 14th chapter and also the 17th chapter. So many different things: food in the mode of ignorance, music in the mode of ignorance, goodness, passion, all these things. We try to cultivate the mode of goodness. But Krishna, makes it clear, although these modes exist, and I am the creator, I am the non-doer, because he's above all these modes, and he's above all this, the Varna and the ashram. So that's what's the main thing here. Okay. All right, if there's no discussion, we'll go to text number 14. Namam karmani limpanti, name karma palesmiha, iti mam yo bijanati, karma bir nasabadhyate. There's no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruit of reactions of work. Purport. As there are constitutional laws in the material world stating that the king can do no wrong, or that the king is not subject to the state laws, similarly the Lord, although he is the creator of this material world, is not affected by the activities of the material world. He creates and remains aloof from the creation, whereas the living entities are entangled in the fruit of results of material activities because of their propensity for lording it over material resources. The proprietor of an establishment is not responsible for the right and wrong activities of the workers, but the workers are themselves responsible. The living entities are engaged in their respective activities of sense gratification, and these activities are not ordained by the Lord. For advancement of sense gratification, the living entities are engaged in the work of this world, and they aspire to heavenly happiness after death. The Lord, being full in himself, has no attraction for so-called heavenly happiness. The heavenly demigods are only his engaged servants. The proprietor never desires the low-grade happiness such as the workers may desire. He is aloof from the material actions and reactions. For example, the rains are not responsible for different types of vegetation that appear on the earth. Although without such rains, there is no possibility of vegetative growth. Vedic Smriti confirms this fact as follows. Nimitta matram evasau srijyanam sarga karmani pradhana karani bhuta yato vai srijyas shaktayaha. In the material creations, the Lord is only the supreme cause. The immediate cause is material nature, by which the cosmic manifestation is made visible. Close quote. The created beings are of many varieties, such as the demigods, human beings, and lower animals, and all of them are subject to the reactions of their past good or bad activities. The Lord only gives them the proper facilities for such activities and the regulations of the modes of nature. But he is never responsible for their past and present activities. In the Vedanta Sutra 2.134, it is confirmed by Shamya Nirgrinye Nasapek Shatvat. The Lord is never partial to any living entity. The living entity is responsible for his own acts. The Lord only gives him facilities through the agency of material nature, the external energy. Anyone who is fully conversant with all the intricacies of the law of karma, or fruit of activities, does not become affected by the results of his activities. In other words, the person who understands this transcendental nature of the Lord is an experienced man in Krishna consciousness, and thus he is never subjected to the laws of karma. One who does not know the transcendental nature of the Lord and who thinks that the activities of the Lord are aimed at fruitive results, as are the activities of the ordinary living entities, certainly becomes entangled himself in fruitive reactions. But one who knows the supreme truth is a liberated soul fixed in Krishna consciousness. So it's kind of difficult to enter into this understanding, but the idea is that Krishna consciousness is based on knowledge that you attain by associating with devotees, either personally or through some medium like a book, who are fixed in that knowledge and fixed in the conclusion of the knowledge. They're living the life, you see. And that's why it's so important. You probably have heard this and maybe not know the verse, but the idea that one should not listen to Krishna Katha or the chanting of the holy name by non-devotees. There's one book which that Satyaraj put out some years ago. Something about the religion of the sacrifice of kirtan or something like that. And he interviewed a whole bunch of kirtaniyas, you know. Not all in the Hare Krishna movement. I happened to be in there also. He asked me to do that. So, you know, because I have all these tapes and things, and at that time they were being listened to. So I'm in there. But there's also an interview with a fellow, Krishna Das, he calls himself, but he doesn't believe in Krishna. And, you know, and he knows how to chant very nicely, and devotees were listening to him. But it's not good, because there's an element. The thing is, the mood and the sincerity that you chant with is essential to appreciating and really benefiting from hearing the name. Otherwise, it's like, you know, you're being cheated. You're being cheated. You're being attracted by the external musicality of it, you know. But the heart of it is not there, and therefore it doesn't move your heart, you know, properly. So that's a very important point. And the work that you may see someone doing some work, and the identical work is being done by a devotee. But the difference, everything is in the difference is in the motive. What is the reason why you're performing the work, right? Someone after the Sunday feast, there's a lot of cleaning going on in here. You know, say, well, yeah, just like next door in the bar, they do a lot of cleaning after they close it. What's the difference? What's the big deal? You know, it's a huge deal, because the consciousness. Oh, I'm doing this for Krishna. Forgive me, I always come up with some, you know, story of my own experience, but it's pertinent in this case. I remember back in Brooklyn, when I joined, there were a lot of devotees crammed into this kind of small building. You know, there's maybe, I don't know, 60 of us. So with that kind of personnel, you know, we could do a Maha cleanup every morning, which is very nice. So everyone had their little part of the temple to clean. And I think there was rotation, because at one point, this is what I remember distinctly, I was cleaning the temple. The temple was maybe 2/3 as big as this. And I was cleaning the floor, mopping the floor, means on my hands and knees with a wet cloth and a bucket, you know, it's going like that. And meanwhile, one of Yamuna's tapes had come out. Govindan Jaya Jaya Gopalan Jaya Jaya Radharamana Hari Govindan Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopalan. You ever heard it? So I'm listening to that, which is blissful. The curtains are open, you know. Radha Govinda are watching me, and I'm happily mopping the floor, you know. I wasn't getting paid, but I was getting paid in something much more valuable than money. So I was just thinking, boy, I'm so well situated here, you know. I'm just so fortunate to be in this position. So, it's Shudra work, but, I didn't even know about your Varnashram at that point. I was pretty new. But I was just saying, yes, the menial service, it's humbling, which is what you want to be, right? And there's Radha Govinda smiling, I glance over there and they're smiling like anything, And that's really what Krishna consciousness is about. It doesn't matter what you're engaged in. But in a sense, the menial service is very healthy for your pride. There can't be there's no pay. You're not getting glorified. But you're just feeling, oh, I'm contributing here. To keep the place in the mode of goodness, and it's no necessary. There was a major surrender for pot cleaning service. We had a big feast. A lot of people would come, a lot of pots. I remember this one fellow. I forget his name now. But he was dark-skinned, and he was in a wheelchair. And he insisted that he's going to take his turn washing the pots. So it's difficult to manage it, but he was doing it with great determination for a couple of hours on Sunday night, And all of that, when you join and you see devotees like that, that really moves you. That gives you inspiration to do more surrender and stuff. So that's the idea, is that the Varnashram system may be there, but when it's I got the verse. This finally came. Atak pumbir dvija shrestha varnashrama vibhagasha. The same word is in our verse we had. Varnashrama vibhagasha svanasitasya dharmasa sangsidhi haditoshanam. That, best of the Brahmins. This is Sudha Goswami speaking to the sages at Naimisharanya. Atak pumbir dvija shrestha, a human being, pumbir, a man, dvija shrestha, or best of the Brahmins, varnashrama vibhagasha. Now here Krishna is only talking about the varnas, but you have the varnas and the ashrams. You have the spiritual divisions of brahmachari and grihastha, vaishya, sannyasi, and vanaprastha sannyasi. So the perfection of that, Sangsid here, the perfection is Haritoshanam, if Hari is satisfied. So that means if, the service is being done with him in the center, you're remembering him and the fruits are being given to him as far as possible in glorification. So that's the key. But the Varna and the ashram, when it's done properly, is a great engine for maintaining the Vaishnava culture and training up Vaishnavas. All right, so let's see. Now Krishna is distinctly separate from this. Although when he came to earth, he seemed to be part of the Varnashram. He was in the Vaishya community, right? But he wasn't really a Vaishya. He was just enacting that role and enacting all these lila, in the framework of the Vaishya community, So that's a special case. That's why he says none of this work affects me. I don't aspire for the fruits of action, So we should try to also not aspire for the fruits of action. All right, 15. Evam gyatva kritam karma purvai api mumukshubhihi kurukarmayava tasmatvam purvai purvatadam kritam. All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty, following in their footsteps. Purport. There are two classes of men. Some of them are full of polluted material things within their hearts, and some of them are materially free. Krishna consciousness is equally beneficial for both of these persons. Those who are full of dirty things can take to the line of Krishna consciousness for a gradual cleansing process, following the regulative principles of devotional service. Now, the regulative principles here don't just mean the four regs. He's talking about the do's and don'ts of bhakti. Those who are already cleansed of the impurities may continue to act in the same Krishna consciousness so that others may follow their exemplary activities and thereby be benefited. Foolish persons or neophytes in Krishna consciousness often want to retire from activities without having knowledge of Krishna consciousness. Arjuna's desire to retire from activities on the battlefield was not approved by the Lord. One need only know how to act. To retire from the activities of Krishna consciousness and sit aloof making a show of Krishna consciousness is less important than actually engaging in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna. Arjuna is here advised to act in Krishna consciousness, following in the footsteps of the Lord's previous disciples, such as the sun god Vibhisvan, as mentioned herein before. The Supreme Lord knows all his past activities as well as those of persons who acted in Krishna consciousness in the past. Therefore, he recommends the acts of the sun god who learned this art from the Lord some millions of years before. All such students of Lord Krishna are mentioned here as past liberated persons engaged in the discharge of duties allotted by Krishna. Now, what's interesting here, one of the things interesting is that in these verses, he's talking about acting. I thought the last chapter was karma yoga, and this is transcendental knowledge. But the point is that the transcendental knowledge has to inform our activities. You see? In other words, so much activity is going on, and knowledge really isn't really part of it in the material world. You know, it's just, I mean, knowledge is always part of it. If you're going to fix a car or drive a car, an Uber, whatever, you have to know where you're going and certain basic things. But again, the whole point of that activity is to make some money so you can buy this, you can buy that, sustain yourself, enjoy it, like that. It's fruitive. This is fruitive. And the fruit of activities is what keeps us bound in this world. When we're thinking of Krishna, of the activity, how it will benefit him, because it's assigned to us by authorities who are Krishna conscious and so forth. And, you know, activities for our own benefit of purification, chanting and everything else, then that activity doesn't incur or accrue any karma that needs to be, you know, burned off later on. It's not karmic. It's akarmic. It's activity, but it's not accruing any karma. So Krishna will explain that, I think, in this chapter. What is the difference between vikarma, akarma, and just plain old karma? Karma, in one context, is that activity which is accruing for you to go to heaven. It's according to the karma kanda. You know, that's one definition. Or karma can have a generic, you know, meaning of just activity itself at all. But vikarma means activity which is specifically against the rules and regulations of the Shastra, and which you're going to accrue sinful reactions for sure. You know, so it's condemned throughout. In Bhagavatam we have the immortal words of Rishabdev, Nunam pamakta kurate vikarma, yadindriya pritaya panoti. If one is simply after indriya priti, sense gratification, either gross or subtle, immediate or remote, but that's your motive, then that's called vikarma. Nunam pramad. Certainly those who are simply after sense gratification and thus performing vikarma are mad. Nunam pramata, not just mad, very mad. Pramata. Why? Because such activity, nasadu manya, it's where sadhu comes in again. It's not a very good idea. Bad, you know, it doesn't help you. Nasadu manya. Oh boy, someone's calling me from Texas. I don't know who that is. Hare Krishna. Sorry to interrupt. All right, I'll have to leave a message. So, nunam pamata kurude vikarma yad indriya pritiya apanot. Indriya priti literally translates as sense gratification. Indriya priti. Nasadamanye yata atmanoyam, because by that activity the soul is sure to attain another body which is full of suffering. You ensure rebirth, and oftentimes in this age, lower birth, because you're not even human. You know, so it's self-defeating. The old Shreyas and Preyas thing, you know, for the immediate pleasure. And the immediate can be, you know, a few years down the road when you finally get your degree and you're able to go to, you know, become a quant on Wall Street or something, you know, whatever it is. All of that is fruitive, and it's all entangling, and it's self-defeating in the most obvious way. So that's, you probably heard this before. I referred to this, I think, in recent, but this is a very wonderful 3-verse lesson in the teachings of Rishabdev. Those teachings, the fifth canto, are invaluable. 551 starts. Prabhupada gave about 15 lectures on that. As he traveled around India, wherever he went, he gave a lecture at 551. Nayam deho dehabhajangaloke kashtan kamanandate vidbhujangye. Now that you're a human being, nirloke, you've taken birth as a human being, naraloke. You got a body of the human being. Deho deha bhajang loke. Kṛṣṇa kaman. You should not work so hard, for sense gratification on the level of the hogs who eat the unmentionables. He's talking to his sons. Okay, second half of the world, what should I strive for? So, tapo divyam putaka. Oh, sons, you should practice divine austerity. Get up early in the morning and chant Hare Krishna. Like that. Tapo divyam putaka, by which sattvam shuddhyed, your existence will be purified. What's the advantage of that? Yasmad brahma saukyam tvanantam. You'll come to the stage of purity where you can begin experiencing unending and ever expanding spiritual happiness, brahma saukyam. So this is it. This is the choice, the clear choice. Is indriya priti, is sense gratification, which leads you down, it's suffering. What's that famous verse? Yahi sangsparjaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. These activities of sense gratification are sure to give you misery and pain. So one who is intelligent, nateshu ramate buddha, does not take part in them. So where does he get his pleasure? From purification, Krishna consciousness, chanting Hare Krishna, mopping the floor of the deities. Chanting nectar verses. All right, intermission. Okay, here's a nectar verse. You've heard this one before. Actually, what's the one I just? Oh yeah, Maharaj is giving a class, and I think part of it was the verse Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga. Who's giving that? But the verse about Lord Chaitanya was written by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He sent it on a palm leaf. Govinda copied it on the outside of the Gambhira, where Lord Chaitanya, because he knew it referred to him as God. He would rip up the palm leaf, and sure he did. But by that time, the devotees he'd written it on it, and they all memorized it. So the Vairagya Vidya is super famous, and that one I have no problem with. But the first one, I memorized that one, 20 years ago. What is it? So I got back, and Kalan nashtang bhakti yogang lijanga pradushkartam Krishna Chaitanya nama avibhutas tasya parada vinde garang liyatang chitta bringa. Liyatang means entangled and absorbed, Let the bee of my mind be deeply, deeply garang, absorbed in the lotus of the Lord's feet, of Lord Chaitanya's feet. So he begins the verse, Kalan nashtang, by the force of time, just like Krishna said at the beginning of this chapter. Mahato, what is it? Imam vivastate yogam proktavanam vivasvamanave praha manivakave evam parampara paptam imam rajashi yovidu sakale nehemata yogo nashta parandapa. Isn't it, Kali Yuga, the time destroys everything, right? So now I'm starting the parampara again with you, you see. So that's exactly what he says, Kalang Nashtan. But so Bhakti Yoga, the science had been destroyed by time, over the time, since Lord Krishna's time. Bhakti Yogam, yoga to himself. So he's speaking again of Lord Chaitanya as Krishna. Bhakti Yogam Nijanga Pradushtartam, but he's come to reinstate it under the name of Krishna Chaitanya, Krishna Chaitanya Nama. Avibhutas, he's appeared. Tasya Padarabinde, lotus feet, Garang, deeply, deeply, Liyatam Chitta Bringa, may the bee of my mind be entangled deeply in his lotus feet. May I never forget those lotus feet. So again, he refers to Krishna, Lord Chaitanya as Krishna. So again, Lord Chaitanya ripped off the plume, but it was already on the outside and became famous. That was immortalized in the CC. So that's one of many nectar verses we can chant. And just, about Krishna, this is one of my favorite all-time verses. This is in the Leela Chanda, which is a beautiful summary of Krishna's Vrindavan Leela. Did you ever get the database going? Oh, God. This is a major problem. Anyway, in the database, I can give it to you separately, is the Leela Chanda, Lord Rupa Goswami's summary of Krishna's Vrindavan Leela. And in that I just keep saying I got to memorize the whole thing, but I memorized part of it. So the Uttana ceremony, does that ring a bell? That's when Krishna, he's put in a little crib underneath the cart, because Uttana is a big ceremony when the baby is just not lying on his back, but he's got up over on his belly, and now he can crawl. So it's like a whole, right? Isn't that? It's a whole festival. But it's only for ladies with children. Did you know that? So Mother Yashoda is greeting all the guests, for this wonderful Uttana ceremony for her beautiful little baby. And she places him carefully on a cradle under this big cart, very sturdy, cart, she thinks. So of course he kicks down the cart, and everyone is panically. The mother and father come. What happened to the baby? What's going on? Because it's all this tangle of this huge cart with all the utensils and everything. So the children who were, the prophet says they were. I think he says in the Krishna book, they were assigned to play with the boy or watch the little baby, So they said, oh yeah, he kicked the cart and it came down. I said, oh, we can't believe these kids, So anyway, that's the Uttana ceremony. And next is Vritrasura, the tornado demon, right? So that happens, and suddenly, suddenly he became very heavy. Mother said, I don't know what's going on. So she put him down in the courtyard. Next thing she knows, the tornado comes, and boom, he's up in the air. And he said, "Oh, what happened to the baby? Oh my God!" And she's off. She's lying on the ground, lamenting. Her friends are they're also lamenting. So that goes on, and then of course he kills the Chanavarta. There's a beautiful painting of Mother Yashoda. And miraculously, the demon is lying there. So after those verses, then there's this verse. Nabhishalila Langitahayana Garga Vishkata Nama Rasayana Ring and the Manda the Nan and the Kate and the Mandani Matapa the Gokula Chaitana. You know what it means? So Nabhishalila, the little baby Lila, Nabhishalila, After 1 year of that, Gargamuni came. He was invited to give the names. And Garga Vishkata Nama Rasayana, he gave the names which are full of rasa, like that. And then here's my favorite line of all time, practically. Ringana mandita nandana ketana. With his crawling, he decorated the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. Ringana mandita nandana ketana. The ketana is the courtyard. Ringana mandita nandana ketana. Madani matapata gokula chaitana. And with the sweetness of his crawling and all the other lila, he delighted the minds of all the residents of Vrindavan. Manani Matarpata, Gokula Chaitana, So, what did we spend there? Nothing, right? We didn't have to spend anything. A little time, a little effort to remember the verses, and there's so much pleasure in it, I mean, I'm 78 years old, almost, there's a lot of things I can't do, but I can still chant these slokas. And that's enough. Prabhupada showed, he's in his, I'm traveling all over the world, and everything, but he was always in this blissful mood because he's giving Krishna to others and he's relishing Krishna Katha and the holy name and the kirtan and everything. So that's our way. Once you find that you're able to relish things in Krishna consciousness, the holy name, serving the Lord, festivals, all these things, then you're one of the most fortunate jivas in the universe, because this life, or shortly, you'll be rejoining Krishna in his abode. So we should be careful to preserve Krishna consciousness, become serious, chant the holy name. There's this book Harinam Chintamani I was reading. It's such an amazing book, based on a conversation between Haridas Thakur and Lord Chaitanya, and it was written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But it's not like the Jaiva Dharma where he created like a novel, and the conversations really reveal so much about Krishna consciousness. But it's actually, I was amazed to hear this, that it's the record of a real conversation with Haridas Thakur and Lord Chaitanya, with somehow the notes were given in it. That's the basis of that book. And it's, just full of, and here's someone who's always chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. That's all he's doing, but he's experiencing, and he was giving the details of the different developments of rasa as you become more purified and everything. And that's our legacy we can read. All right, I may have gone a little far afield, but I haven't heard any complaints so far. So where were we? I think 17, huh? 60. King karma kama karmeti Kavayopyatra mohitaha Tatte karma prabhakshyami Yagyatva mokshase asubhat Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. Purport. Action in Krishna consciousness has to be executed in accord with the examples of previous bona fide devotees. This is recommended in the 15th verse. Why such action should not be independent will be explained in the text to follow. To act in Krishna consciousness, one has to follow the leadership of authorized persons who are in a line of disciplic succession, as explained in the beginning of this chapter. The system of Krishna consciousness was first narrated to the sun god. The sun god explained it to his son, Manu. Manu explained it to his son, Ikshvaku. And the system is current on this earth from that very remote time. Therefore, one has to follow in the footsteps of previous authorities in the line of disciplic succession. Otherwise, even the most intelligent men will be bewildered regarding the standard actions of Krishna consciousness. For this reason, the Lord decided to instruct Arjuna in Krishna consciousness directly. Because of the direct instruction of the Lord to Arjuna, anyone who follows in the footsteps of Arjuna is certainly not bewildered. It is said that one cannot ascertain the ways of religion simply by imperfect experimental knowledge. Actually, the principles of religion can only be laid down by the Lord himself. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Prabhupada loved to quote that. Which means that real Dharma is enunciated by Bhagavan, directly by Bhagavan. That's where we know what real Dharma is. No one can manufacture a religious principle by imperfect speculation. One must follow in the footsteps of great authorities like Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, the Kumaras, Kapila, Prahlad, Bhishma, Shukadeva Goswami, Yamaraj, Janaka, and Bali Maharaj. Anyone know what that list is? 12 Mahajans, yes. By mental speculation, one cannot ascertain what is religion or self-realization. Therefore, out of causeless mercy to his devotees, the Lord explains directly to Arjuna what action is and what inaction is. Only action performed in Krishna consciousness can deliver a person from the entanglement of material existence. So that's the thing about Krishna consciousness. In the other forms of yoga, like Ashtanga yoga, there's so much inaction. You know, I remember when I was practicing, I was practicing a little of that. And it was like you come to the point of, just quiet, completely quiet, watching your breath. Now, I had the good fortune to be acquainted with the devotees by that time. And so I invented this meditation. Did I ever tell you? You can have it, you can do it yourself. Because a lot of breathing, watching the breath and everything. So on the in-breath, you're thinking in your mind, or even reading in your, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And then on the out-breath, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's actually pretty potent, But that's not really what Krishna wants us to do. He wants us to chant and clean the temple. But the point is, that helped me, because I was serious about it. And I would try to do that at intervals during the day at my job as a inhalation therapist in a hospital. And so it kept me, very interested in Krishna consciousness. And so finally I got frustrated with the job where I was getting distracted from my meditation. So I wanted to go to a yoga studio where they loved you. The more you chanted, the more they liked you. You go to the other place, okay, that's enough, Tom. Now we're going to do some asanas, okay? But when I went to the temple, it was all like I remember taking out the trash. This was like my first day, taking out the trash and singing Hare Krishna. And the devotee who was in charge, he hadn't even been initiated yet, Bhakta Ben. And he said, Tom, I think you're going to make it, Even though you're taking out the trash, you're chanting Hare Krishna. And so that, that taste for the holy name is our salvation. You should try to cultivate that and chant, without offense. All right, it's a little late now, and I'm going to start with a few poems because Maharaj should arrive any moment. He's a little bit late. I hope he's not going to. With the English book that Kathy bought. She had bought a Spanish version, but she doesn't speak Spanish, and she made it clear I don't read Spanish either. So he's coming and he's signing this new book, but it looks like he's late, so we'll see what happens. All right, so Here's one you haven't heard in a while. This is the prayer to become a miser. What? We don't want to become a miser. Miser is, no, but this is a good miser. Vichayani, vichayani, vichinjani, punak punaha, kripanasya dhanani vatunamani bhavantunaha. Compelled to constantly collect and count his precious hoard, the miser contemplates his wealth with avaricious aims. Please bless me to become a miser who is compelled, O Lord, to constantly collect and count and contemplate your names. That greed is good, right? But not in the movie. The movies are stupid. But this greed is good. And there's another verse, which I don't have a poem to, but I should have. It goes like this: Kṛṣṇa bhakti dasa bhavitamati kriyatam jhanikatopi labhyate tatta laulyam abhimulyam ekalam janma koti sukatayana labhyate. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yes. Here's Bhakti and Kathy with their Spanish book. Now, we may be out in the patio or into the lounge somewhere if you go. Okay, so you can come out there. You can surrender to walking out there in your socks. So this verse is very important because it is the first line. Prabhupada made it into the phrase Krishna consciousness. Kṛṣṇa bhakti rasa bhavitamati. The mind absorbed bhavita in Krishna bhakti rasa. That's what Krishna consciousness is meant to be. You see? Full Krishna consciousness always in you. So that's invaluable. That's what we're looking for. So if you can buy it, you should go to the store and buy it. What's the price? Krishna bhakti kriyatam yadikatopi labhyate. You should buy it if you can. What is the mulyam? Tattva laulyam api mulyam ekalam. The only mulyam is your greed for it, is your desire for it. Tattva mulyam api mulyam ekalam janma koti sukataya nalabhyate. Millions of births of pious activities, you're not going to get it. Material piety. You may get to heaven, but you're not going to get this. So therefore, how to develop that greed? That's what this movement is about. And the key element is sadhu sangha. What is that? Tat sadhum satam prasangan mama virya sambido bhavanti ritkana rasayana kata tad joshanara svabharga vartmani shraddha rati bhakti anukamisiti. You know this verse. Satam prasangan. Now prasanga, rather than just sangha, pra is always an intensifier. So prasanga means you really want to hear, and you're in great association. You're hanging on every word. That's prasanga. So tatam prasanga. What are you? Mama virya sambado. You're going to hear conversations about my glory. This is Kapila Dev speaking. Mama virya sambado. Bhavanti and rit karna rasayanak. And these are not, it's not an austerity to hear about it. It's a life-giving elixir for the mind and the heart. Bhavanti rit karna, and the ear, the heart and the ear. Rit karna rasayana. Rasayana is his life-giving elixir. Tad joshanat, by practicing this method, ashu, quickly, apavarga vartmani, on the path of liberation. You develop these things step by step. Shraddha, rati, bhakti, anukramisiti. Step by step, your faith is deepened, your attraction to Krishna is deepened, and your bhakti, or your love for Krishna, is developed step by step. So that a verse or two later, he says, this is the easiest form of yoga. You're practicing it right now. Did anyone pay a lot of money to come? Did you make a big austerity to come? You just made time. You thought it was important to come. So the more that we can associate with devotees, either directly through medium like the books or so many ways, we can increase our faith. And our faith means that you'll increase your determination to act. And your attraction to Krishna and your love for Krishna will increase. So on that auspicious note, I think we'll adjourn and get ready for